All right, how's it going, everybody? Thank you for tuning into this episode of Phil Talks Sports. And I know it's probably been a while since I've posted an episode here. I think the last one came right after the NFL draft, and now the NFL season is in full swing. Week 3 coming around the corner here. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, where have I been? Why haven't we been posting episodes? And there's a good reason for that, honestly. We spent a lot of our time recently. My good friend Sean Kramer has his own podcast going, the Jags Cast, where they cover Jacksonville Jaguars football, the rest of the NFL, sports in general, really. And I've been a regular on that show. I've been posting a lot. I didn't see the point of doing a very similar show. We have the same kind of guests that we would have had on. There's really no point in doing the same show over again for the namesake of it being on a Phil Talk Sports episode. So what I've decided recently is to do a lot of my, we're going to do the reactionary stuff on that show. This Week in the NFL, when things happen, that'll be the show that we get all the reactions on. I've decided to reboot this one into more of a topic-driven show where we'll just have different people on. I'm not going to do any shows where it's just me. I'm only going to do shows when I have a guest and I have good content. So there might be some spaces between episodes, and there might also just be times where I'm posting, once a week. So it really just depends on the guests and the content of which we're doing, which brings me to today. I'm going to have my good friend Billy Hornby on, and we will be discussing the mega show that was the All-In Pro Wrestling event that took place on September 1st. We're a few weeks removed from that now. I didn't plan on taking this long to talk about this. I had a week where I was very sick, and I honestly had no voice, so I don't think that would have been a very good podcast to listen to. So I'm going to have him on. The reason I'm bringing him on, aside from being a huge wrestling fan as I am, he was actually at this show. He was one of the lucky people to get a ticket. He was in the Sears Center, so we're going to talk about what he saw in the arena, what I saw watching at home on the Fight TV app, and we're just going to discuss the show as a whole. We're going to break it down, not necessarily match by match, but we will have, a good breakdown of the show, what this means for wrestling as a whole, where do we go from here, and especially what this means for the Bullet Club members, that were a part of it. Obviously, all the matches we'll get to the results and what they mean, and what this means for WWE, and if there's time, we might just talk about the state of pro wrestling as a whole, because it's been very exciting lately. It's a really good time to be a wrestling fan. People try to compare it to the Attitude Era. I don't really consider it. It's a different time, so I don't really consider them to be the same thing. But it's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan. You can watch any wrestler you want. They don't have to be in WWE anymore. They're not the only game in town. There's more promotions to watch than I can count. I fall behind on wrestling all the time now, which to me is a good problem.
What you do, I'm never gonna stop. Are you sure that you want it? Is the fire in your soul gonna keep you warm? Is this the price that you covet? Did you find the reason that you were born? And if it's not, you better step aside, because I'm coming for it, coming for it. I'm all in. This is rage, this is war. I'm all in. In a shadow every storm. Do you wanna run it all? Do you wanna have control? Are you all in? So you think you can top me? Guess again, is a chance you should. Doubt your little plan isn't likely. You can try, but not in my house. You had your time. Get back in line. Or you can see for yourself and learn what I'm about. Do you truly believe it? Does the drive in your heart keep you alive? Can you climb to the summit? If you make it, what do you think you'll find? You'll see my eyes, then we collide. Because I'm coming for it, coming for it. I'm all in. This is rage, this is war. I'm all in. In a shadow every storm. Do you wanna run it all? Do you wanna have control? Are you all in? I'm all
All right, so I'm here now with Billy Hornby, good friend of mine and huge wrestling fan, much like myself. And we meant to do this a little bit sooner. Part of it was I lost my voice, so we didn't get a chance to do it. But in a way, like, it's been about a month, close to a month since All In. All the, like, overreactions are done. We've had time to, like, digest it. I've watched the show back twice. So you were there. You're at All In. You're one of the lucky 11,263 people, kayfabe, that got to be in the show. So let's start at the very beginning. How difficult, first of all, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And how hard was it for you to get a ticket? Like, did you jump on it the second it happened, or how did it work?
Right, yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. And, how hard was it to get a ticket? Had my alarm set for, 10 a.m. my time that day. And
because you were in Indiana at the time.
I think it was like 12 o'clock Central or something. It went off.
Okay.
So I was on the button. It happened, and just like they were on Being the Elite, I was in that online waiting room, like refreshing. I had it on 2 laptops, my phone, trying to get a seat.
So you're about as prepared as you can be at this point.
Well, one thing that I could have done to be more prepared was there was this website. It was through Eventbrite, and if I had created an account prior to ordering the ticket, that would have kind of sped some things up. But all in all, I was still lucky enough to get 2 seats, so I was pretty grateful for that.
And you got I know you when you go to shows. You're not like, I'm always just happy to be in the building where you tend to, you and my cousin are the same way. You get like the lower bowl. So like, how were they? Did it break the bank? Were they reasonably priced?
I think the most expensive seats there were like $150 for front row.
Yeah, so you can't really.
Yeah, I paid $50 and I was in section like the 100 section, which is the first bleachers going up. So
because the only ticket price I've seen, just out of my own curiosity, was scalpers. So of course it's going to be,
which was ridiculous after the fact.
Yeah, I think I think at that point the nosebleeds became $150. So they totally just doubled everything basically.
Yeah, and it was. Yeah, it was definitely worth the $50.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean,
tickets.
I went to New Japan, came to Daytona Beach, and we paid $90 but we were on the entrance ramp. Okay. Like we were on the side. I think you've seen the pictures. So, and they don't come to. It was New Japan's second ever show in the United States and the first one ever on the East Coast. So when I look at it that way, it was like it was worth it to me.
Quite as historic.
Yeah, not quite, but it's in the ballpark. I mean, you can always say that. So even before the event starts, me and you even more so, we've been to WrestleManias, we've been to SmackDown. I've never been to Raw. I don't know how this has happened. I've never been to Raw so far. You've been to numerous pay-per-views, numerous Ring of Honor things. You get there, you were living in the Chicago area at the time, so you didn't have a huge travel over there yet. But did it feel different from anything else you've been to, or has that been overplayed lately?
So, in the arena, once the show had started, you could tell this is it. There was so much hype building up to it,
and how could it possibly live up to the hype?
And just kind of being in the arena, looking at the stage, seeing the Bullet Club logo and the All In promo pictures and everything. It definitely had a special feeling to it, especially being in that 10,000 seat arena without a single WWE logo or production crew or anything. That definitely was pretty organic.
Definitely. And it was like NWO sold out but done right. It's basically it's a joke that's been going around.
That's funny. Yeah,
and
I didn't hear that.
The thing that the words that were used by Cody mostly is that it's wrestling's Woodstock. And I love the phrase, and because you already said the word, it was organic. Everyone was there. They didn't win tickets on the radio. They didn't just go because they had nothing to do. Like, if you went to this, you had to have 3 computers and your phone set up. You had to want to go to this. And the first match, when it starts, it really didn't matter what it was. It could have been Colt Cabana as Matt Classic wrestling Bernard the Business Bear. It would not have mattered what it was. But interestingly enough, the first match, not that we'll go through every match in grave detail, but you had Matt Cross come out, who was not advertised at all. And he's someone that, most indie guys are going to know. But did it surprise you to, of all people, see him come out?
Well, so that was the first match of All In, the pay-per-view.
Right.
But then there was the 0 hour on WGN before.
Which I didn't actually get to watch live. I've seen it since.
Okay.
Because I ordered it on a Fight TV app. And they said that the pre-show was going to be on it, but the pre-show was really like a half an hour like hype package.
Yeah.
The matches themselves you didn't get to see.
Oh, wow.
So I was following what happened, and we can jump to that because obviously half the issue, because you went to the all-out thing as well with Flip Gordon, right?
Right. Yeah.
So was there a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like, hey, I'll see you guys inside, or did they play it up to the best of their ability?
Not really. He so they did like meet and greets and stuff. It was with Flip, Okada, Marty, and Hangman.
And you met Okada, right?
Yeah.
And how was that?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
just for 30 seconds of his time.
Yeah.
But still to have that picture in 8x10 is definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Right. Like when we went to the New Japan show in Daytona, I got to meet Jeff Cobb, which is easier to do now since he's in Ring of Honor, but for a while it's like I don't know when I'd ever see him again either.
Right. But yeah, in terms of like Flip Gordon, I mean, in the back of my mind, I'm sure everyone was thinking, oh, he's definitely going to somehow make his way onto the show one way or another.
Right.
Whether it be backstage or run in or how he actually did it. But no, it was more so a lax environment. Like there was like DJ Z, Zima Ion was the DJ.
Right.
A bunch of music. Flip was up there dancing around and stuff, holding up fan signs and stuff. So nothing really in terms of like, I'll see you guys. I'm not all out all day or nothing like that.
And we had, so I think the very first match was with the Briscoes and SCU, right?
Yeah.
Which that was, that's a great opener because you got 4 of the best, pure workers.
Yeah.
But then we had what a lot of people are calling like the best booked battle royal ever, because that of course is when Flip, came out. Which was it obvious at the time that it was him? Was he supposed to be somebody of note?
I didn't even really realize, because where the table spot happened was the opposite of where I was sitting. There was so much action going on.
Yeah.
I saw him come out. I was like, oh, there's just some mask guy
some luchador that I don't
really know about. And then he was out for the rest of the match. I didn't even think he got in the ring.
No.
So he got bumped out by Bully, and then turn the page, half an hour later, he rolls in the ring, and by then you're like, oh, okay, well,
this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And I loved how because it came down before that, because if you just forget about him, which most people did, it comes down to Colt and Bully Ray, and you're like, okay, Colt's the hometown guy, I get it. Maybe he's gonna win, and then when Bully Ray won, air quotes, it's like, oh, big heel moment, I get it too. So it was done in such a way that you weren't waiting for someone else to come out. Yeah. But then of course he did.
And Flip does his thing, and the crowd. And then the Flip Machismo match was awesome. That was one of my favorites too. Like, it's hard to pick a favorite on this card.
Yeah, it definitely is.
That was definitely awesome. Like, especially the callbacks to Black Machismo and having Lanny out there.
Yeah, Lanny Poffo being there, which I definitely didn't expect, because they've been doing the whole when someone bumps into him or grabs his shoulder, I think it is, that, he turns into mine on being the elite. And, I know a handful of people that took time to watch the show that don't watch these things, and they were so lost on a lot of stuff. They knew the in-ring action was great, but they were lost on a lot of it.
Yeah.
But, it did make it fun. And, again, at the end of that, with Bully Ray coming back out, and then Colt making the save, because I'm a huge Colt Cabana fan. Most people know that about me. I'm glad he might not have won a match on the show, but being in Chicago, I'm glad he got a moment, he got a run in, he got to, stand tall at the end of something. So I like how they really used Bully Ray and Colt to tie the whole thing together at the end of it. And it was just a great storyline beginning to end that, they might not have happened immediately after each other, but it made for a great, you saw that happen through the show.
Yeah, and it was weird what they did. They pulled the Shield powerbomb out.
They did. I don't know if that was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge thing.
That was interesting. But yeah, it was cool. Colt didn't really get too big a pop during the Battle Royal, but after he come out and make the save when Bully came out again at the end of the Ring of Honor Championship match, he definitely got a big pop.
Yeah.
Have that classic Colt Cabana chant.
Right, which is great. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people were hoping, CM Punk comes out, helps Cabana win the Battle Royal and stuff. Because without Flip in it, I would have understood Colt winning, because him and Lethal had a Ring of Honor title match a year ago that went to a no contest when Adam Cole joined the Bullet Club. So that is something they could have tied back to. So we had as good a chance as anybody. Nobody in that match really would have been an obnoxious or ridiculous person to win. Everyone had a solid chance, which always helps with the Battle Royal. you don't want just a bunch of jobbers in there, which helps.
And then the little guy.
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but he's
Mark Stunt or something like that.
So Marco Stunt, it was that guy.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
That was the first time I ever saw him, and just the action that he was pulling off. He's maybe like 120 pounds soaking wet. So
yeah.
like the spots that they can pull off with him was pretty entertaining, to say the least.
And then you had Billy Gunn and his son Austin Gunn, which was that was just cool. I didn't know. You might as well throw Cody Hall in there too. I'm surprised they didn't ring him up, but maybe they just wanted one Cody on the show. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it was overall just a great kick. Like that first match was fine, but like I think in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be forgotten, that tag team match with the Briscoes and stuff. But so it really was a great kickoff thing for it. And then when the show itself starts, full circle here, we get Matt Cross out there, which is a guy that has been around forever, which I'm sure they knew that, and that's probably why he got the spot that he gets here.
Yeah, so I've watched the show back as well, because you don't get the whole commentary aspect when you're in the arena. And I like how they played up the fact the veteran versus the up-and-comer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
MJF.
Yeah, and I thought it was a good match overall. I'm glad to see Matt Cross got the win and get some definitely well-deserved respect that he...
Because he's just been grinding in the indies for years.
Yeah.
I've literally...
I think he's a 20-year veteran.
Back in our early days, like, I've definitely seen him in like, backyard shows, like, straight backyard.
Yeah.
He started from humble beginnings, so it's good to see him get that spotlight for sure.
Yeah, and it was a good match, too. He's definitely a high flyer. He definitely could have made it in WWE if he's given the opportunity.
I believe he was on Tough Enough at one point. He was one of the early exits, which was, I mean, I've never been a huge fan of Tough Enough anyway, but when he was like the first cut of a season, I was just like, nope, I'm done, I'm out of here. Can't watch this anymore. Okay, so then after that, we get, great opener, and we have the Steve Amell match with Chris Daniels. And I think that was... Of all matches that you thought would have some gimmicks in it, you'd think it'd be this one, and it really didn't. This was a straight-up match. Like, I think everyone was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I mean, they did bust out the table.
Yeah, but as far as run-ins and, someone coming to help Steve Amell win,
Right. And it was actually more technical than I anticipated in terms of this, actor that's had maybe, 2 professional matches in his career.
Right.
So it was definitely impressive in terms of what he has learned in his training.
And you can tell he's taking it seriously. It's not like in WWE where they're just like, throw a clothesline, we don't care how bad the clothesline looks because we're going to get on People magazine because of this, Yeah. So he definitely took it seriously. I'm actually happy that he lost because, again, then it's not the WWE thing of celebrities are stronger than our trained wrestlers all the time. So, yeah, I mean, I think it deserved the hype that it got, and it, kind of lived up to it.
Yeah, and the crowd was really behind him, too, which was kind of surprising to me. I mean, I guess he's in the Bullet Club and whatnot, but I've been a Fallen Angel fan since you were kind of saying I've been to quite a few shows back in 05 TNA days.
Yeah, any TNA show you watch in the 2004 to 2008 maybe in that window. Billy is front row. He's the guy dressed like Jeff Hardy. So if you need you're a little internet famous. I think we can agree to that. But
I've had my moments.
Yeah, everyone gets those. But yeah, it was a great. If you're gonna have a celebrity match, I'm glad it was one that was taken seriously, and things of that nature. So and then you get the payoff of he does raise Steve's hand after Chris Daniels wins. And there was definitely parts where you thought he was going to steal it too. It wasn't a squash on either direction. When he countered the what's his finisher?
The Angel's Wings.
Yeah, when he counters the Angel's Wings and he does the backflip the way AJ used to beat Chris Daniels all the time back in the day, you truly thought that he was going to get the win there. But overall, it was a great match. I think the right guy won. You can't put Chris Daniels on that platform and not. I think it was just proof that he could have a great match. When they say, "Oh, this guy can wrestle a broom," this guy can wrestle a guy that's had 4 months of training and 2 matches under his belt, and make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I definitely agree that Daniels deserved it at the spotlight too. Yeah. When Amell was on the top rope, going outside the ring through the table, and Daniels moved, he was pretty impressive that they would do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the timing was a little off because it's almost like the cartoon thing where he hasn't even fully left the ropes yet, but Chris Daniels already left, and it's like, oh no, one of those deals. But yeah, you can't really have any complaints about that match at all, really. Next, you have to tell me with this one, the Fatal 4-Way with the women in it. For some reason, a lot of people are right. Like the ending was a little bit of a hiccup. I felt like with the pinfall that looked like it got broken up, but
that's how we felt in the arena.
Yeah, so which you do feel bad because they tore the house down before that. It was just kind of a little odd, and you could tell the crowd kind of try and power through it after that, like still get a pop for the win. But overall, great match. It sucks that that's how the ending has to go.
Right.
It's like any movie, if the movie's great and the ending isn't a good payoff, you kind of walk away with I didn't care for that movie.
That's kind of what you want to remember is like that big finish, and this finish wasn't as it's kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah.
After going back and forth for 15 minutes, like for them to kind of. It seemed like it got cut short, or
we'll get to that because there was time issues throughout this whole show, which has been known. Which is a good thing we didn't just do this like the night after it all, and because we were like, oh, it was great, everything was great. But now that we can sit back and digest it, and they didn't really have a lot. I was worried watching it on like Fight TV. Like I didn't think they would have any huge in-ring issues. Like if this is the worst thing that happened, like in this women's match, then that's okay. I was worried about like technology issues like cutting the streams, or if the WWE Network can crash during a takeover with Tyler Breeze on the screen, then it's possible that they and that's the one thing that's positive is they didn't have a single, they did have to jump out of there at the end, which we'll get to, but at least they didn't have any stream issues or technical difficulties. We'll be back in a match, and then then it would have just made them look bad. So positively, at least they didn't have any issues like that. So
I think even the announcers were confused. Like when
they definitely were watching that live.
Oh no, that was a 2. Oh no, bell rings. Yes, it was a 3.
I feel like they did at least they were smart enough to have one announcer go on both sides on one side of it, so one can be like, oh, I think she wins. Oh, I think she didn't. So at least they weren't both just like what happened.
Yeah, and I mean, out of who were to win that match, I mean, 2 of the ladies got pyro, so they kind of went down that way. I think it was Madison and Tessa.
Right, yeah. So
and then Tessa had the extra stuff with like her whole family there, bringing her out, like Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard. So just to see all that, you would know that, okay, well, I think we know who's going to win this one.
Right, that's true on that one.
But yeah, she's definitely a great athlete for sure.
Yeah, she, it might have been a little too on the nose who was going to win, but at least it was someone who deserved it.
Yeah, and no grief to Chelsea Green or Britt Baker either. Both of them were great competitors.
I think they all had their spots to shine.
Especially Chelsea Green. Like she was more the gimmick of the match, the hot mess. So that was cool just to see her.
And when you watch shows like Being the Elite and even 10 Pounds of Gold, and Cody had his own miniseries that was just called All Us. It was just the making of the show. Some of these people that you might not have been familiar with, like they kind of gave the spotlight. Like the MJF from the opening match and, the hot mess and things. Like, you got a little more acquainted with these people before you saw them on this big stage. So I think that was helpful for some people. So then after that we had I like the spot of it because you could have assumed this could have easily been the main event, but you have the NWA Championship match. You got Cody and Nick Aldis, and I felt like I was watching like Rocky Balboa, because they both come out with their just like legions of people, and Cody has his dog with him, which looked terrified. I felt so bad for Pharaoh. Like, how could you even, I think that's why they ended up going to the back immediately after, because, like, leaving the dog out there probably isn't a good idea. But this match, looking at it objectively, because I'm a huge Cody Rhodes fan, it missed the mark a little bit for me, because the blood spot was kind of missed in the sense that, we dove to the outside, he gave him the elbow, and he kind of tried to crawl under the table. And he came out once, fine. And then he went under and then came back out with the blood. So that was like, I'll be the first to admit how big a Cody fan I am, but it was like, that little miss was just like, once after that, from then on, the match was great. But it's like, they put a little, of all matches to be like overbooked, because seeing DDP come out and drop a diamond cutter was awesome. But I felt like it might have been a little overbooked in the early stages of this one.
So being there live, I didn't have that.
Yeah,
that
that
view
view.
of him coming out
Mhm.
and clean and then go back under, cut it, and
Right.
then get some color. But
So it probably looked a little better
so,
in.
Yeah, it did take a while. He was down.
Yes, that was the other thing.
For a long time, just for a forearm when he jumped from the top rope.
Right.
Like that's what took him down for 5 minutes at least.
Which again, you were in the arena, but head up to the announcers to say like, "Oh, I think Cody's knocked out here." Like they found a way to like help it, but you could tell it was still a little off.
And then Earl Hebner throwing up the X,
Mhm.
and then see DDP come out, and then Davari come out. It was, and then the Diamond Cutter.
But once the Diamond Cutter hit, it picked right back up.
Yeah.
It was just that like.
Yeah, kind of a lull in the match.
Yeah, it's like you're going on a road trip and you don't even get to the highway yet, and your tire blows, and then you change your tire, and then you drive wherever you got to go, and that's how it worked.
Yeah.
So aside from that, great match. They went out of their way to make it old school a little bit. The one way you could tell the finish, especially, wasn't like the fact that he kicked out of the crossroads. I'm like, oh, there's no way Cody's losing, but he already hit the crossroads. Like, how's he gonna win? And he did it. From what I understand, it's like a reenactment of how Dusty won his first title. Is one thing I've run into. And another quick hiccup, which maybe I'm overanalyzing it, is his music doesn't play right away. Like, he sits there for 30, maybe 40 seconds, and they hand him the belt, like, he won and everything, but the music didn't hit. And I don't know if that was by design to make it more of an old school feel, because they did the in-ring announcements for this match and no others. Yeah. And which is fine. They want to keep it that classic thing about it, but I'm glad Cody won, and we can get into like the significance of that. But like, it missed a couple little marks that I would have liked to see it hit. But I think overall, just the result of Cody winning will mask what the match actually was. And they're gonna have a rematch at NWA's 70th anniversary show that's coming up, I think, next month. Okay. So maybe anything they weren't satisfied with in this match, I think they'll make up for in this rematch. But we'll see.
I'm sure they'll definitely. It won't have as many eyes on that match. But,
probably not, right?
But I think that they definitely had some good chemistry together. You were mentioning about the kind of old school vibe. I mean, I don't think Earl Hebner should ever get on the mic.
No, that was bad. That was so bad.
That was he was like,
You see Cody patting him on the back. He's like,
he just got a smile on Cody's face. And,
yeah.
You guys are both my friends.
I've known you both for a long time, and all right, Earl, let's go.
Good luck. But yeah, it was definitely, like you said, had that old school vibe to it, and I feel like it was. I think Dusty would have been proud for sure. There was definitely some little like Easter eggs, like in like his attire. It was like do the work, and like it had like the
705 on his boots. Did you catch that?
No.
It was the old Championship Wrestling from Florida that he grew up watching that his dad would book.
Okay.
Started 705 every Saturday, and Cody wanted the show to start at 7:05, but with the pre-show that didn't happen or whatever. But it was just kind of another throwback. Like you said, Easter eggs all over his attire. I think that's the reason, because I think Cody's got to watch what he's doing with his hair, because he keeps dyeing it back and forth, and he's back to brown, but he did dye it white again for this show, and I think it's obvious why. So he can have like the Dusty look to himself for that win. And the blood, and it definitely gave that the desired effect they wanted with the cut with the blade. Definitely happened. It just took a while to get there.
And that was the only match that had the color too, so that was kind of cool to see, because you normally don't see that nowadays.
Yeah, because even like we'll get to like the Hangman match with Joey, is as hardcore as that was, there's no blood.
Yeah,
which almost made it more real, because like if two guys brawl in an alley and they're just fighting and throwing stuff at each other, like they don't necessarily bleed. They don't crimson mask anyway. There might be a cut here or there. Yeah. But right before we get to the street fight, do you think with this, if anyone's going to bring the NWA to any relevance, I think it is going to be Cody. Do you think they have a chance to just be this, like, I hate to use this word, but an alternative to WWE and like this, the indies that people follow the most, like the true indie?
That's hard to say. Like, the thing about the NWA is, like, at least what I understand from it is it's not like a standalone entity.
It's really not anymore.
Like kind of a collaboration effort with multiple promotions, especially with after this All In event. Like they definitely now are in connections with Ring of Honor. I don't know how much with Impact, because the whole Billy Corgan thing, but even New Japan.
They've been doing, like, before, like when Nick Aldis was champ, and even before that when Tim Storm was champ. they were doing a lot of their title matches at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, just because they are on the Fight TV app, so they're kind of like wedging their exposure into that at least. And are they just going to be the 10 pounds of gold? Or are they eventually going to want? I mean, I think the tag belts are still out there somewhere. Somebody must have them, like. Whoop. Thank God for editing, right? But I don't know how, if they're just worried about the prestige of this one belt, or if they're going to attempt to expand to at least get a tag team titles, or if that's not really
their even a make card title.
Yeah,
I think they used to have a United States Championship.
Yeah, and they had a television title, which of course could be more modernized. So it will be interesting to see how they're going to do with if they're just happy with the belt being in conversations now, and if they'll just take that for a while. But I mean, from what I know of Billy Corgan, he doesn't do anything halfway. Yeah. So I think eventually he will shoot his shot about, an iPay-per-view every month or every couple months or something. That's $20 or something. But it will be interesting to see. I'm excited about it. I mean, you can't, if you like wrestling, you can't not like that belt and not like what it stands for. And I enjoy that it has some level of relevancy now.
Yeah, definitely. And the history behind it, like you were saying, is so iconic.
Yeah.
Like they were playing the clips and the promo package, like Ric Flair, Dusty, and so on, and to be escorted to the ring, with Jeff Jarrett and former NWA
Tim Storm and stuff. Yeah. And
so,
then Daivari for some reason.
some random reason. Yeah. But I definitely hope that it does see more exposure in the future. I think it would be good for wrestling overall, and Cody having the face of the title, I think is good as well, because he's definitely one of the hottest.
Like I said, if anyone's gonna push them to relevancy, I think it will be Cody.
Yeah,
and I think they figured that out, and that's why and Nick Aldis is he went on this thing of 20 defenses in 20 days. Like he did his part to get this back to relevancy. And I could easily see in a few months, if Cody's, more involved with a Ring of Honor storyline, or he has to be in Japan more, that he could easily drop the belt back to Aldis and things would be okay as long as they don't do it too quickly.
Yeah.
I think Aldis is in for the long haul, and he's going to be a major piece to if this works out as well.
Yeah, he's a tank, man. He's huge.
He is, yeah.
He's a lot bigger than Cody.
I mean, I think he's definitely bigger than he was even, because we've seen him in like TNA back when we went a lot more. So,
a lot bigger, Yeah, definitely. And like you're saying, he's definitely a good workhorse for the company. Mm-hmm. I think with that 20 defenses, that's definitely impressive in however many days.
Yeah, it was 20 defenses in 20 days.
Yeah, that's definitely impressive, to say the least.
Because if you watch the 10 pounds of gold, he faced guys like Crimson, who's from TNA, which apparently they're very good friends. He had James Ellsworth on there right before he went back to WWE, and just a handful of other guys. And with that 10 pounds of gold show, they have a few other guys that they're going to attempt to make relevant. Like there's a character named Josephus, who's kind of their like Bray Wyatt-y character. Mm-hmm. He's a little, off his rocker. So I think they're slowly building like a nucleus of like the title picture, if you will, to keep it relevant. So we'll see how that works with them.
I'll definitely check out that pay-per-view the 70th show.
Yeah, 70th anniversary. I think I'd have to check the date, but I think it's sometime next month. It'll be on Fight TV and stuff, so that's nice at least. Yeah. They haven't announced any other matches yet, but we'll see.
Well, that's kind of how All In was. Like, we bought these tickets
nothing.
With no matches announced. Like, maybe we knew about Cody and Nick, but
we didn't know.
We didn't know any other people on it. Like, I think the day before they announced Rey Mysterio was going to be on the show.
Yeah.
At their press conference.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you knew the Bucks would be there. You knew the Bullet Club would be there. You didn't know who they were facing. Right. And I think that's just proof of the power of, the popularity of the Bullet Club and the fan base. And you get the right amount of people together, you can move mountains, and that's what they did.
Yeah, it was definitely an honor to be there.
Mm-hmm. It was an honor just to watch it, so I could only imagine, what it was like to be there. So you could almost say with that like title match with Cody, it was like the main event of the. I don't know if there was there an intermission at this show? Okay, but if there was, I think it would have been right there. That was like the main event of the first half, if you will. So, and they definitely, they went from old school to a match, being won by a roll up to like totally changing the thing with that hardcore match between Hangman Page and Joey Janela, right? That's how you say it? Okay.
Yeah.
I actually knew someone who that went and ended up sitting behind him on the plane to Chicago.
Oh, wow.
He just took like a quick picture, and he's like, "Oh my god."
Oh, wow.
But he's not someone I'm super familiar with, but he definitely impressed me in that show.
Yeah, that was my first exposure to him as well.
Yeah.
And I definitely, I've seen Hangman. I know Hangman's quite talented, and
Yeah.
I think they paired up pretty well. The bad boy Joey Janela and Hangman Page. They had some ridiculous spots in that match.
Definitely.
When like he went to Hangman went to power bomb him off the stage through the two tables,
And he missed one of them, I think.
That was cringeworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like even 100 feet away, like you could tell that looked bad.
Right. I mean, I got a lot of vibes of like when James Storm and Bobby Roode, like when Beer Money broke up in TNA, and they had a lot of those hardcore. Like it reminded me a lot of that. Like I look at Hangman and I almost see like a young James Storm in a way, like between the gimmick and the way he works and things.
Yeah.
Which I don't think James Storm's ever truly got to the platform that he was worthy of. But I think that's still someone you could inspire to be like if you're either of these guys.
Yeah, well, Hangman is more like aerial too than James Storm. Like he does like the shooting star off the apron and stuff. Like he's definitely an evolved version of James Storm. But I see what you mean. Some influences
with the gimmick
there.
anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love the actual Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
And I know you said you watched it back, and the announcers tried to cover for him. He's like, "Oh, that thing weighs over 200 pounds." And it was funny. And then he like rolls it to him, and he jumps over it like it's a Donkey Kong game or something.
Yeah.
So there was some funny stuff in it too.
Yeah, that was funny, and the whole Joey Killer gimmick thing. I like how that he had that on his tights. Like, building up to it. Like this was one of the first matches that had relevancy in terms of being the elite.
Yeah.
The SCU match did, and kind of, Stephen Amell and whatnot. But
and then everything with Flip started in being the elite.
Yeah, and then this with the Joey Killer with the promo package with all the clips from being the elite.
And then, of course, they're fighting on the ladder, and he takes out the hotel phone, the murder weapon.
Right.
And again, if you don't watch Being the Elite, you're probably lost at this point. And then the boots come out of the other bag, his evil boots or whatever. It was, like if you didn't watch Being the Elite, if you don't, for one, you should, and two, you were probably lost. But even if you take those couple spots away, like I think it was a very good change of pace from how the rest of because the show before that was essentially pure wrestling. There wasn't really a whole lot of other than the Battle Royal, of course. So as far as the hardcore match goes, it was brutal, and I think both those guys really showed everything they had. And then, of course, after you have the rebirth of Joey Ryan with the.
Well, also shout out to Penelope Ford too, because when she got in the ring and did her thing, that was pretty impressive. Like flipping around, then pulling the stunner, diving off the top, and everything. That definitely got a pop out of the crowd. And then the finish, like that reverse pile driver off the ladder.
He has a name for that, and it's escaped me now. But
that was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was nasty looking. And then just all the throwbacks and everything. It was definitely a brutal match. And then at the end, the video package plays. Like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
And then Joey gets his Undertaker treatment essentially, and now he's back
from the dead.
Yeah, and because they've done it Being the Elite about just All In and how it went. And I think the next one that comes out, obviously they'll get back to the storylines, and I'm curious where they go with Joey being alive again, of course. So that'll definitely be interesting. And then overall, again, it's just a change of pace. This is how you knew you were in the, these are the main event matches, if you will. This is really when all that stuff was going to start. And of course, then we had the Jay Lethal match, which we've covered already. Retaining the title. Bully Ray and Colt Cabana getting involved to kind of help give that match more. Not that necessarily needed it, because they had a great technical match.
Yeah, I liked how Jay was acting that Brandy was his.
Oh, it was Miss Elizabeth.
Miss Elizabeth. That was kind of funny to see. And then Brandy turns on him and turns him back into Jay Lethal, and then he's like what am I doing here?
And he still finds a way to win, of course. Then we have, some people are saying this was the best match, was Kenny Omega and Pentagon. They called him they call him Penta L0 in this. I think it depends where in the world he is, on what names he can use.
Mm-hmm.
But we know him as Pentagon Jr., so we're going to call him that.
Yeah.
This had some hard hits in it. This was some strong style to it.
Yeah, I think for this match, the crowd was chanting, like, holy shit, before the match even started.
Yeah.
So this really didn't have any backstory to it, aside from being two badass wrestlers facing off for the first time.
Right, and that's basically what they did in Being the Elite. Kenny's like, I don't care, guys, just put me in the curtain jerker. I don't mind. It's like, we're gonna put you in the main event, actually. And he's like, oh, it's that hardcore guy from TNA. Like, I don't want any part of him. And that was like, the build up is all of like 2 minutes of an episode. So
right.
Yeah, for no build up, like you said, they really rocked the house.
Yeah, definitely, and just how it started off, like, Pentagon doing his, Cero Mierdo thing, and like getting slapped in the face by Kenny, and then it was off to the races from there, and it was definitely back and forth, a lot of false finishes, and just it was definitely great wrestling for sure.
And they told a lot of great storytelling with like Penta going after the arm, and the announcers saying like, oh, I don't know if he can do the one-winged angel, because that's the arm that he hooks the head with.
Yeah. And
you fast forward to the end of the match, and he basically does it in reverse, and he hooks him with the other arm, and to get the win. And of course, that's not even where this match ends, because then the lights go out, and I'm sure at that moment there's 100 people that people think this is going to be coming out. Some people think it's Punk. Some people,
Neville was on my mind.
Neville is definitely someone who, if they do anything close to this again, he's probably going to be front and center on it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jericho. Yeah, he must just love dressing up nowadays, Chris Jericho, because he comes. The lights come back on, and you see Pentagon, and he's a little thicker than he was a couple minutes ago. He's got a few more tattoos than he did a minute ago.
Well, a few less tattoos, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little lighter of a skin tone. But yeah, I was like, once I saw the tattoos, I was going crazy. I knew it was Jericho, and then once he did the code breaker, the
right,
roof
that let the
place.
rest of the place know.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite spot of the night. I popped so hard for that seeing Jericho there, like. And then he flew out, like, right after to Kansas City to do a Fozzy show.
Yeah, I think he came, like, he did a Fozzy show, did that, and left to go do another one.
Yeah,
he went from, like, Arkansas to Chicago to wherever else, and, yeah, I mean, he went out of his way to be there. Because originally, because I've since heard a thing, like, they were trying to figure out where to put him for a while. Because I think one thing was they were going to make him Bernard. That was Cody's original thing, like, if Bernard wants to come out and put someone in the walls of Jericho, we could make that happen.
Yeah.
So that was the original plan. This obviously is way better than that idea. But I'm curious where this goes, because I know they're fighting on that cruise. I don't know if it's happened yet or not from the time that we record this, but he's the IC champ of New Japan, and Kenny's the world champ, and I don't think they're going to unify. I mean, they have the U.S. belt now, so maybe they don't want two mids, because the U.S. title for them has taken off with Juice Robinson as champ and everything, and maybe the IC title's kind of lost a little bit of its luster.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're going to go with this, because someone's got to beat Jericho for that belt, and Jericho doesn't mind putting somebody over in the right situation. But I don't think it should be Kenny. I don't think he needs both of those titles.
Yeah.
I'm curious where they go,
Yeah, I definitely think this was at least in Jericho's mind, like the biggest part for him was to promote his cruise. Like,
yes, of course.
That's seeing in front of so many hardcore wrestling fans. Like, definitely what a better opportunity. And but yeah, in terms of like what would happen in New Japan, I'm not sure. I'm not too up to date on the wrestling that goes on over there.
Yeah, I don't really watch their like week to week stuff. I'm just kind of a pay-per-view hopper when it comes to New Japan, because the shows are always going to be great. And I think Cody actually faces Juice for the U.S. title on one of their newer shows coming up. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Here's where things, to our knowledge, the show was totally fine up to this point. And this is where I think the rails fell off a little bit, was in the great match that was Okada and Marty Scurll. This is a match that's rumored to have gone over time, as great as it was, which kind of led to the fast forward of the main event with the Golden Elite and Rey Mysterio and Bandito and who was the
Phoenix.
And Phoenix, right? Of course. So first, the match itself was great. It didn't feel long necessarily. I mean, I think it told a great story, especially when Okada looks like he's going for the Rainmaker, and Marty, is able to pull his hand back to set up for his chicken wing. The match was great. This one may have had the most story to it, aside from Cody and all this, where it was just on being the Elite and everywhere else, like, oh, junior heavyweights can't fight heavyweights, and if they do, they can't win. And it was like a simple story that they just crushed out of the park, I feel.
Yeah, and the whole 205 thing, like, when Okada goes 205 with his hands, and then Marty grabs the fingers. Yeah, this was my favorite match of the night.
Okay, there you go.
I thought this, like you're saying, the story was awesome. It was there, kind of a, David and Goliath type.
It was so simple, and sometimes something simple done well is way better than something complex done mediocre.
Yeah, like Marty going for the heavyweight moves and then, like, failing time and time again, and then eventually popping, like, with the power bomb and the suplex and being able to lift up this heavyweight. And just the storytelling was great. Working on, the British wrestling that Marty does was so technical, and versus the strong style that Okada has. It definitely was a good kind of clash of styles that I thought worked out really well, and I thought it was definitely a great match. Probably my favorite match of the show.
Yeah, I think the match itself was fantastic, and it could easily be. I think a lot of people say that match and the Omega Pentagon match, when they say their favorites, it's kind of coming down to one of those two for most people. If you're into hardcore wrestling, you're going to pick the street fight, obviously. But the rumor is that this match went like 12 minutes over, and that was the issue in the main event, which I know there was no... Because the main event, I mean, there's no way for us to re-say what happened in this match, because it was like 1,000 miles an hour, flips, Jim Cornette probably had a heart attack watching this match. So, yeah, they're saying that it went 12 minutes over. I know it affected nobody in the audience, but when that match was over, they're like, all right, guys, thanks for watching All In. Okay, bye. Like, tune in next week on Nitro to find out how this match ends, kind of thing. And obviously, since then, we've seen what was said after the show that we didn't get to see live. I mean, to me, I looked at my clock, it's 11 o'clock. This was supposed to end at 11. They got out, right? Apparently, they had to pay extra money to literally give themselves an extra minute to make sure the match ended on time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, where do you think... First of all, did it live up to the hype completely, would you say? I don't...
Yeah, so definitely it exceeded my expectations in terms of, match quality, production. Like, it was a professional setting. At least the top to bottom, I would have to say this is, like, the best wrestling show I've been to.
For as far as in-ring.
Like,
yeah.
In-ring, like, even, because I've invested time into watching Being the Elite, so I was invested in these characters and the storyline, and so it was definitely, in recent memory, the best show I've been to, and from top to bottom, the whole card was fantastic, and it definitely met and exceeded expectations.
I mean, for me, it was kind of like, there's no way, and in the back of your head, there's no way that this can live up to the hype. Like, we can all say that it does, but it's like, it seemed impossible that it would live up to the hype, but it did. I mean, other than the kind of jump out ending, which to me, it didn't really affect me until I saw more people talking about it and realizing, yeah, I guess that was kind of strange. My other question is just, where do they go from here?
Yeah, I went to a Ring of Honor show at Hammerstein Ballroom in New York.
Nice.
That was before All In, and they were teasing, this was before Madison Square Garden sold out for the New Japan Super Show, and they were teasing, maybe All In 2 will be back here in New York, and then
just kidding.
And then he pulled the heel move, like, oh no, we wouldn't come back here for if they paid us to. But yeah, I definitely see them doing something in the future. I'm not sure to what degree or capacity, or
Well, the real question is at this point is, do they just do another 10,000 seat arena? Do they try to go bigger?
Yeah, I could see them going bigger because this sold out
instantly.
a hot second. So, what do they aim for? 20, 30,
right.
50?
I mean, I don't think they do like a stadium. I don't
No.
Unless they did like an MLS stadium, because those are about 25,000. Like the one in Orlando City Stadium is 25,000 people. It's outside though, but so that could be their mini stadium show. They could, you know what I mean? The way WrestleMania has been in stadiums for the past 5 years and without really much of an issue. I think it rained a little bit for the first one that we were at in was it 28? I think we went to, or did you go to that one? I forget now. The one with Taker and Edge and
Michaels.
Yeah, that was 28. I think. Oh no, I'm so wrong.
24.
24, yeah, 24. But yeah, I am interested to see how they do go about it, or if they try to make it any bigger. I do think that Madison Square Garden show that New Japan is doing is kind of like going to be the spiritual successor of All In until they have one. It'll almost be like an All In 1.5, depending on who they allow on that show.
I just don't know if the magic will be there.
That's my concern.
You know, because this was so, I mentioned earlier, so organic, so like from the ground up type thing. It kind of had like this movement behind it, bringing in all these characters and whatnot. But who knows, man? Like you're saying, like could this really meet like this, bar that they have set for themselves, like saying this is the Woodstock of wrestling,
right?
Like, has there been a Woodstock since the first Woodstock? I mean, yeah, there has, but it hasn't been as good as the original Woodstock.
It's not the historical landmark that the first one was.
Exactly.
Like, if someone didn't know that there was other Woodstocks, you wouldn't blame them, because it just doesn't get talked about.
Right, exactly. And, you remember the original Woodstock for it being what it was, and you're going to remember this event for being, like, so pure wrestling, entertaining, and...
And then with the StarCast the day before, this was like a full weekend event. It wasn't even just a show.
Right, and it was like it started on Thursday. It was till Sunday, like a whole like convention of wrestling that was going on. Like they had.
I think one thing they did great though was the fact that they did put it on Saturday. They didn't try to put it on a Sunday.
And they, I believe, Fight TV even aired the StarCast event itself, which I didn't have the opportunity to go to it, but. From what I understand from other fans that went, it was definitely... And
then the panels themselves, you could buy, like, individually. Like, if you wanted the Bruce Pritchard panel, it was $10.
I've heard some, like, I guess they did have some, like, audio issues on some of them, but if I could have afforded to go there live, I would have. But I went to the hotel once and checked it out. It was pretty cool. They had, like, funny gimmicks on the food and drinks they were selling. I had a... Long Island iced tea, and my dad had the Nate, which was like a cranberry vodka. So.
Nice.
But yeah, overall it was like a great weekend, and definitely one for the storybooks for sure.
So if you're WWE, do you care? Does this affect you at all?
I think so.
Yeah?
Because they definitely have their eye on some competitors at least.
Because since then, Rey Mysterio has... There was a rumor that he had signed to go back before All In. And I think what it came down to is, I want to go back, our numbers are good, our length is good, but I'll start September 2nd because I'm doing this show. So, like a week afterwards, Rey Mysterio is announced that he'll be back. He's probably going to do that Saudi Arabia show that they're working on.
And I was at the NXT tapings, and Britt Baker was there. She just kind of did a squash match, but she was there nonetheless.
Right.
And I guess she's Adam Cole's wife.
Yes, I did. Yeah, all right. I mean, that could have something to do with it, too.
Some influence there, too.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think it was a good opportunity for WWE to look at potential employers or employees, per se. But are they worried about what they're going to do? Sure. I think they want to sign Cody again and get the Young Bucks back, or get the Young Bucks under contract so they don't do it, but as you saw on the Being the Elite episode afterwards, which we were talking earlier, Marty wasn't out there when they were saying all this, so I don't really know where that goes, and
that could come back to the heat of possibly
going over, but like they were saying, like, we stick together. So I mean, are they all going to jump at once,
or is nobody? Or
are
they staying put? Yeah.
Right. And of note, like I said, Marty wasn't there, and I guess he's dating Deanna Perrazio, who's recently signed with NXT. So
I mean, so many of these guys though, like, if Marty goes, was he going to run 205 Live? If he does in a cool way, cool. Like when it was the Zoe show, like, I enjoyed it. It was fun, but like Cedric Alexander's doing a fine job on that show, but like there's not enough personality behind him to drive the show by itself. Which I heard recently they're gonna start shooting it at Full Sail instead. They're gonna latch it onto NXT instead of latching it onto SmackDown. Which is
I would like to see it like more of like have the Cruiserweight Championship be like a sub belt of NXT.
That would work, yeah.
Because Tony Nese was at the tapings, and I guess he's now in NXT, which is kind of different.
Yeah.
Like, because normally they don't do crossovers with the Cruiserweights there.
Kind of like with the UK guys. Like, while they're working on their NXT UK, the Mustache Mountain were here. They won the tag titles for a cup of coffee. Like, they're doing those kind of things. Yeah,
so it's having some, like, cross-promotion, per se, like, between, like, UK, NXT, and Cruiserweights. I think that would be good for...
Yeah, make it one big developmental like pool that has its own brands at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like if Cody goes, they'll treat him like a main eventer. But if Kenny goes, not positive. If the Bucks go, definitely not positive. Because I mean, look at some of the like there's no reason Anderson and Gallows couldn't have been the most dominant team they've ever had, and they chose not to book them as such. And there's a lot of those guys that I'm like, I don't think they'd get Kenny. I don't think they'd get his personality. They'd probably try to give him a different personality. Like if Cody went, I have no doubts that he'd be fine because they would let him wear the suit and let him have his wife with him and maybe not smoking cigars, but you know what I'm saying. Like he'd be fine, but I have no confidence that the other guys, not because of them, but because of the way WWE works.
And plus, like mainstream fans like wouldn't per se know who Kenny Omega is or the Young Bucks are if they all they watch is WWE.
Right.
So they would come.
I mean, look at Finn. Finn Balor had like a small opportunity to be the guy. Yeah. It wasn't his fault that it didn't work out at that moment, but they haven't treated him. I can't imagine Marty Scurll being treated any better than Finn Balor has, and people complain about how he's been treated.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only like asterisk to that is AJ Styles. Like he came in hot, but
he's the one. Yeah,
he's been on national television before in the face of another promotion, so I think he's definitely kind of a subset to that.
Yeah, he's definitely got a little bit of a different... I was surprised how well they treated AJ. Like, there was a small time where I'm like, oh no, here he goes, he's going down, but like, they realized what they had. They realized that his career, like, I think he has plenty left. I just think there's more behind him than in front of him. I think that's safe to say. But yeah, I mean, people get treated more like Finn Balor and Gallows Anderson than Bobby Roode. So all those guys really do have. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go because they're smart enough to realize that it's not a guarantee. You might go there and it can damage your brand. Look at Neville. I mean, I think when he gets to start wrestling again, which I think is soon, I think he'll be a very hot commodity.
Oh yeah. I
think he'll get in. He'll be involved with the Bullet Club, whether versus them or with them. I think he will cross paths with them at some point. But I don't know. The future's bright, and I think it's very exciting where these things are going to go. Like we've been wrestling fans for so long that you definitely have times where your interest kind of goes in a wave. Like you watch everything, and there's so much of it now, which is not that it's a problem, but it's not it's a good problem, if anything.
Sure.
But this definitely rekindles my desire to watch more wrestling, and I'm sure it did with everybody else. I don't think they planned this, but when that Fire Pro Wrestling game came out, it was like perfect because all the guys in this show were in the video game already, and I think it's fun times ahead for sure.
Yeah, definitely. For wrestling as a whole, not just WWE.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Impact's doing great. New Japan's doing its thing, touring and
Ring
whatnot.
of Honor is as hot as it's ever been.
Yeah,
really.
So it's definitely a good time for professional wrestling as a whole, and I think competition is good for the wrestlers as well. So
definitely,
I think it's definitely a good time to be a wrestling fan, and look forward to what they have off in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just certain guys that'll work out in certain places, and it's just a matter of them finding where they fit the best. It's not WWE or anywhere else. Like Ring of Honor could treat you better than Impact or New Japan or whatever. I think it's a matter of these guys just finding where they shine the best,
Yeah,
and I
like,
think that's what's important.
We're the happiest too.
Yeah, exactly. You have to love what you do, especially in this. I think
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we got a lot out there today.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm glad to give my experiences, and
No
hopefully
problem.
you have enjoyed this listening.
Yeah, very much. I think it's really up to the wrestling world on when we'll do another wrestling based show here. Hopefully they give us something to talk about in the very near future. But until then, thanks for being on.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys, that was Phil Talk Sports. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.